water, earth, fire, and air. Long ago, the four elements lived together in harmony, but then everything changed when the humans arrived. Soon enough, natural disasters started appearing everywhere. The elements were at war with each other. Thousands of years passed and the elements were still in a rage. Nothing on this planet could ever satisfy their wrath. Eventually, even the humans, seemingly indestructible, began to see the anger of the planet, and in an effort not to be caught in the middle of the turmoil, they began to wonder and learn more about the world they lived in. Fearing death, they sought to play God, but inevitably failed. Eventually, they learned that the only way that they could stay in this place and survive was by learning and understanding the patterns of the elements. And although we humans have learned much about our world, we still have a lot to learn before we're ready to save anyone. What are landslides? Why does land slide? Do we slide land? Does land just slide itself? Does land have a deep desire to just enjoy the thrill of a slip and slide? Well, nobody knows. Except we do. You see, landslides happen when the forces of gravity outweigh the forces of resistance. Once that shift of power happens, the Earth gives way and causes landslides. Notice how in this example the mountain is doing just fine, up until it can't hold its own weight. And then as you see, it comes crumbling down and causes a slide of land. This is what we like to call a landslide. Perhaps the best way of understanding how landslides work is by looking at an example. And for those of you who are watching 11 years in the future because of the quirky YouTube algorithm, let's rewind to August 8th, 2020. In the Indian state of Kerala, a massive landslide swept into a tea plantation late in the evening, causing a lot of drama for the people who lived there. Dozens of houses were destroyed, 43 people were found dead, 11 were rushed to hospitals after being injured, and 25 people went missing. So lots of fun. According to the authorities, the landslide was likely caused by the massive monsoons that have been happening in the past few weeks. In fact, at the time of the rescue, it was still raining cats and dogs and horses and mice. Wait, that's not how that goes. Regardless, I hear you screaming at me, future person, and I hear you. You're wondering, how is it possible that rain could cause a landslide? Besides, doesn't water help dirt and sand stay together? I mean, who hasn't made a sandcastle, right? Well, if you haven't, you're pretty lame and you didn't have a childhood. But for the rest of us civilized people, allow me to explain. You know that feeling you get when you eat way too much? Well, that's in a nutshell what happens to the ground. And if that doesn't make sense, let me explain. You see, imagine this. You're a pile of dirt, and you're just sitting there. And one day, a bunch of water invades from the sky into your personal space and makes itself at home. Now, just a little bit of water isn't too bad, because it isn't really going to change you too much. Now imagine there's so much water entering your personal space that you are literally swimming in that water. And it's way too much for you to absorb. Your identity as a solid, boom, gone. Reduced to atoms. You'd might as well be a liquid at this point. The independent patch of dirt that you once were is dead. You can't handle all this, and you break under the pressure and boom, you give way to gravity, and heck if I know where you are. If none of this makes sense, allow me to rephrase. Strong rock becomes weak rock when too much water goes inside rock. When rock becomes weak, it goes down because of gravity. Got it? Well, hopefully, because I ain't explaining again. Now, if you have a brain, you're probably asking by now, what can you do in case of a landslide? And how can you prevent damage and stuff like that? If you don't have a brain, you really need to get that checked out. That's extremely concerning. First, find out if your area is known for landslides. Although landslides are very special snowflakes that crack under pressure easily, they don't always happen in the same place. Fret not though, there are a few features that you can look for. The two biggest ones are steep slope and man-made terrain. Those two combined with heavy rainfall can lead to landslides at least 37% of the time. And now that you've determined that you probably live in an area with landslides, make sure that you listen to the news and other forms of government warning systems to make sure you know what's going on in your area. In other words, don't be the idiot who decided to stay during an evacuation. If they tell you to evacuate, get your internet-loving booty away from there or suffer the wrath of nature. You've been warned. The second best thing you can do is never sleep again. Because landslides kill a lot of people in their sleep. And I'm not even joking. That's how most of the people died in the Kerala landslide. Third, if you're near a stream or a channel, be alert for any sudden increase or decrease in water flow. These can be signs that a landslide is coming pretty soon and that you should get out of there. If you happen to witness a landslide, whatever you do, stay away. Don't go close in case the death boulders are still coming down. Like, okay, if your friend or your parent is stuck under a rock, help them, but make it quick. Second, don't investigate, you dum-dum. Do you want to be a flesh pancake? Third, make sure to let somebody know about the landslide and any other damage that was caused by it, because you know, death is a thing we all want to avoid. And the last thing we need is a gas leak or something, and then there's like someone lights a match, and yeah, because 2020 can't get any worse, right? Honestly though, as far as it comes to avoiding damage, the best thing you can do is just not build in those areas. Landslides can be incredibly destructive and dangerous, and like most other disasters, the best thing you can do is simply stay away if you can.
Landslides, both incredibly beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They have the destructive power to destroy cities, reshape terrain, and change lives in a moment's time. And yet, they leave us in awe as they pass us by. So, what are landslides? Is it truly just a pile of dirt plummeting downwards because of the forces of gravity? Or is there maybe something more? Something that we've missed being so invested in the naturalism of science. Something magical that we've been overlooking the entire time. A gift from the heavens? A reminder to humble ourselves? But who knows? Regardless, this of course only scratches the surface of these mesmerizing events of nature. And there's still so much we don't understand. But I believe that that's all the reason more to keep exploring.
Nah, there's nothing magical about dirt. Get that out of here.